Am I going to see you the 10th of September?
Yes, Sharon, you are. And of course, I'm busy getting Flower and Daphne ready, but let's see how they do.
How old is Flower?
Flower's 11 years old.
Oh, gosh, she's entering the veteran.
Veteran.
My goodness.
My little Daphne is 17 months.
Oh, lovely. So she's in,
She's in the junior
group.
In the junior group.
My
yes.
goodness.
I'm going to pick one of my dogs up.
Yes, please do. Hello, Paris. Hello, my girlie. Is it sweet? Yes. Hello, my girlie.
Yeah. You can say hello to Sharon and to Paris.
Hello, my lovely dogs. Beautiful.
She's 11, you know. I came to this area 33 years ago. I was born in Fisher, a very Church of England upbringing. My mother was from the UK and my parents had Dachshunds. They had standard smooths, which were only pets, obviously. So I always grew up in a home where there were dogs. I saw a miniature long for the first time many, many years ago when both of my children were very small at a show in Stellenbosch, and I fell in love with them completely from that moment on.
Allie Cronje is a dog lover and owner of Breed Champions, who after 10 years of being part of the dog show circuit, considers the other members of this community family.
What I'm actually doing with the dog shows, it is Breed, which is very, very basically, it's a beauty show. I was not all that, you know, taken back by the shows. It seemed a little bit silly to me. And I went to my first show. The dog I took was called Paige, and she actually won a best of breed that day, so I was awfully proud of her, even though it was only an open show. And as they say, once you've done some winning or one little bit of winning, the bug has bitten. My love for poodles was a rather strange story. I was at a show and I was actually talking to the breeder of this little Miss Muffet, and next to me I felt something was staring at me, and I turned around and this most glorious standard poodle was sitting looking at me, but his eyes were literally going straight through my soul. And then, of course, there's Joe, my Jack Russell, who was my eldest child's dog. And in the evening, typical young men, they went out clubbing in Stellenbosch. And it must have been around about 11 o'clock at night. And I said to my husband, you know, this is not right. This puppy is only 8 weeks old and they've left this puppy alone. And I can guarantee you they haven't put one light on in the house. And I got up and I got dressed and I broke into my own child's house. And I took the puppy out. And I brought Joe home, but then Joe matured quite a bit and he started realizing that there were some very, very good looking young ladies that were coming into season every 6 months at this house. And he just ended up staying. He's never gone back. I naturally had to have Joe castrated because I couldn't have him around my beautiful female Dachsies. And that's why Joe is as fat as what he is today. But he's 10 years old and he is my shadow. Wherever I go, Joe goes with me, except to shows. Sorry, but Sparrow is snoring. She's so relaxed.
Alison and her husband's restaurant in Stellenbosch is extremely dog-friendly, and as a result has become a popular meeting spot for dog owners who love to lunch and bring their canine friends along.
JT's not here. I met my husband, which was really strange because my husband is very Afrikaans, but opposites always attract. And one thing grew to another. We came here with 2 children, 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 cows and 2 horses. And from there it's just grown into the brand that it is today.
Me, myself, I love dogs too because I grew up with dogs. So half of her growth and love I inherited from her. She came home one day with a dog and she said no. She bought it at Stellenbosch dog show. It was a miniature long hair and her name was Tootsie. And I'll never forget old Tootsie. And that's how it started. And some days I would feel there's too many of them, but it made her happy.
Hello, hello, hello. I got Blake here.
I could never have married somebody that didn't like animals, and I still to this day believe there is something wrong with people who don't like animals. Something's not right. I have to take my hat off to my husband. And not many people, I think, would tolerate the amount of 9 yapping Daxies.
And I was actually the first guy to say to her, come, let's import a dog, because she went to show in Joburg and she came back and she said she met a lady from the UK and she breeds Dachshunds. And when I looked at the dogs and I said to her, that is the type of Dachshund you must breed. So we imported dogs from there. I actually went with her to the UK for her first dog that she brought in, and that was Robin. And from there he grew and grew, and there's another one on the way again.
Dogs must be fit for function, thereby meaning a dog must be able to function correctly. Let's take the Dachshund for instance. The Dachshund is a hunter. It goes to ground. Thereby it has to have good length of rib, good lung capacity, it's got to have a good keel, it's got to have strong front legs and very strong back legs. I'm not interested in Dachshunds that have got very thin, spindly legs, for instance, because they're not able to do their work. A Dachshund must be able to work. A Rottweiler must be able to work. Any breed has a function. There's no money in dog shows at all. In actual fact, I think it just costs money. I love spending a day with my beautiful dogs, and naturally I do like doing well. Since a child I've always been extremely competitive and I do push myself to succeed. Hector's 9 years old, and we got Hector as a replacement for our black lab Athos that passed away. But when Hector arrived, he just took one look at Nicholas and fell in love. Nicholas was my youngest child. He was born 20th February 1985. We were told Nicholas wouldn't live longer than 15 years. Well, we got into 30. Because of Nicky, I had to make a life for myself at home. And doing that meant that whatever interest I had to have had to be completely based here. And the dogs was the ideal for me because it was something that I loved and I was here for my child at the same time.
There was nothing else really that she can pay all the attention to because of Nicholas. Nicholas always pinned us down to home, and it kept her company.
Nicholas passed away from pneumonia. He had a metabolic syndrome called Landau-Kleffner syndrome. He became physically extremely frail. He was a very able-bodied little boy. In many instances, he used to climb out of the windows here and take off and run on the farm. Whereas in the last few years, he was literally wheelchair-bound. He couldn't walk without holding on to something. The other day, I actually took Nicky's wheelchair out and I donated it to a little school for handicapped children in Somerset West. and I thought that Hector wouldn't take any notice of it, and the moment I brought Nicky's wheelchair out and Hector was all over it, wagging his tail, and obviously thinking Nicholas was around, but yeah, the confusion in his eyes when the wheelchair went wasn't great, so...
Before the break, we met Allie Cronje, mother, restaurateur, extreme dog lover, and owner of Breed Champions. Dog shows have been around for over 150 years. The first modern dog show was held in Newcastle upon Tyne in 1859. It was added on as an attraction at the cattle show. Only sporting breeds were shown on the day, and the prizes were guns. By the end of the century, it became a hugely popular hobby amongst all classes of society. It was the Birmingham Dog Show Society that hosted the first national dog show in 1860, which included non-sporting breeds and drew over 267 entries. By the end of the decade, this national dog show attracted over 700 dogs and 20,000 paying spectators. It wasn't long before the sport spread around the world, and the South African Kennel Club of Port Elizabeth was established in 1883. The South African Kennel Club of Cape Town followed shortly after in 1889, and these clubs served as registration and administrative controlling bodies involving all dog matters. By 1891, these clubs combined to form the Kennel Union of Southern Africa, managing all dog-related matters to date. The union now has a registry of over 900,000 dogs across South Africa. Angus Bradley has been a dog lover his entire life, having been brought up in a home filled with dogs. Now retired, he has become a dog trainer and started entering his own rescue dogs into shows 8 years ago.
Going away nowadays is a bit difficult with 5 dogs. You've got to load them into the car, and to find somewhere to go that is pet friendly is generally quite difficult. Cats tend to fend for themselves, so you can go away for a day or two, put out food for them, and you never own a cat owns you. But with dogs, they need that constant companionship and interaction. And wherever I go during the day, all I have to do is say who's coming, and you've got to stand out of the way because they will flatten you to get into the car. And even if it's just up to the shop, I take them to the shop with me, they wait in the car, go in, I come out, and we come home again. But it's the highlight of their day. My love for animals basically would start with my parents and my grandparents. We always had dogs and cats as kids. My first dog was a Scottie, a little Scottie. Used to get me into lots of trouble. And basically all our animals that we've ever had, even as a kid, have always been rescues. There's just so many rescues looking for homes, and I would rather give a rescue a second chance in life than have them euthanized.
Angus's son, James, having been raised in this very dog-friendly home, shares his dad's love for animals.
I suppose if I had the facilities, I would definitely be also a rescue dog supporter and take on as many as possible. But obviously living in an apartment, I can't. But my dad definitely is a softie for them. So I think if he does get approached with a dog that has absolutely nowhere to go, even if it's not so desperate, he probably would still take the dog.
Probably in the last 30, 40 years, I've had, I don't know, 10, 15 rescue animals, cats and dogs. I've even got a point where I've got a koi pond outside. And when I had my business, we were told to demolish a pond and told that there's no fish in the pond. And when my labour were busy scooping out all the water, suddenly there were these fish flopping around on the lawn. So I ended up stuffing them in the bucket, running home, sticking them in the bath. So my koi that I've got in the back garden are rescues as well.
Most important thing before you get dogs is to realize that they are a huge responsibility. They are not independent. They require your constant care and attention. They need to be exercised, they need to be fed all the time, and vet bills are expensive. It's a major responsibility. It's not just fun and games, have a little pet around the home.
I've got 5 dogs at the moment, all rescues. The oldest one that I've got is Guinness, and I've had him now close on 10 years. And then the next one would be Scrumpy, which I got a phone call from our vet the one Friday afternoon to say somebody has brought this dog in. We don't have facilities to look after it. Can you foster it for the weekend? And that's probably 9 years ago. So it's been a long foster.
Angus is the chairman of the Cape Handlers Dog Club, the largest dog club in the Western Cape. He facilitates, judges, and meets with members on a regular basis, while also hosting training, agility, obedience, and dog jumping classes.
I started going to the Cape Handlers Dog Club when I had my first dog, Guinness. He was a young dog. I was out working all the time, and he used to destroy the garden. And he needed to be trained, basically to get my dogs organized that it didn't destroy my garden when I was out. And then from the obedience side of it, I got bored, and the dog got bored. The dog fell asleep in class the one day. And then one of the trainers at the club came to me and said, well, why don't you get involved in agility? Agility it's jumping with your dog, and it's got a seesaw, it's got an A-frame, it's got a dog walk, and there's tunnels and jumps and things like that. Gets a bit hectic because when you enter competitions, you're generally running at about 18 to 20 jumps, and the higher grade up to about 25 obstacles. At my age, it gets a little hectic. And I'm still convinced that our one trainer is trying to kill me because she puts hectic courses together. I used to be very competitive, but now I just want to be out there and have fun with my dog and let him have fun, let her have fun as well. I enter shows to be competitive, and also the camaraderie with the fellow handlers. Walk a course, got any questions, ask me, and then we're going to start with small dogs, and then we'll go to medium, and then from there to the large dogs.
Dog training, I started that because my dog kept on running away. So I wanted to teach her how to come back to me, and while we were doing that, I noticed that they had the agility here, and I tried her out, and she just loved it.
I'd rather train beginners and intermediate handlers than the advanced ones because they're just more receptive. They enjoy just being here, and as you can hear, I mean, the dogs have a good time anyway, so.
Angus trains beginner and intermediate dogs at his Thursday classes, which are made up of dogs of all breeds and sizes.
There seem to be very mixed messages coming through. Yeah. The agility people are obviously all pro. Right.
But the club policy doesn't really allow for it.
Doesn't allow for it.
No.
And then probably 5-6 years ago as well, I was voted onto the committee. I started on the committee as social secretary and progressed up to where I am now as chairman of Cape Handlers Dog Club.
I think it's quite cool. I mean, obviously it started as a hobby and then it became something that's become more of a job, but she still likes doing, which many people don't get the pleasure of. Then I come visit my dad here and I see all the dogs, and you kind of do miss having that kind of companionship and appreciation from a dog, because cats don't do that. They don't welcome you at the door.
As a kid, I taught my dog to sit and to down and to give paw and things like that. I didn't know that there were clubs out there that did that sort of thing. And then I got involved at Cape Handlers, and it was a whole new ball game. If you take Cape Handlers as an example, I mean, we've got an average of about 500 club members. The club, we've got five or six different disciplines. We've got agility, we've got competition obedience, we've got flyball, we've got working trials, we've got IPO. And of that, 90% of them, or probably 80% of them, are more into just home obedience. And then there's the 20% who are very into competitions. Like in agility, there is a culture amongst the some of the trainers and some of the handlers that it's win at all costs.
Earlier, we met Angus Bradley, whose best friends are his 5 dogs, all rescues that he has trained to compete in the jumping and agility categories of the dog show circuit.
What have I got here? Yeah, look at the baby. Yes, Daphne. Hey, Robbie.
Don't be like that. Come. Come, Sparrow. Daphne's sitting today at championship shows. At 17 months, has already got 13 best of breeds and 13 CCs. So far, I am thrilled with this little dog. She's very well put together. But more than that, it's her personality that absolutely astounds me. She takes on everything in life at full tilt. Nothing puts her off. Always friendly, always welcoming people. So I think Daphne's got a good show career ahead of her. I would hope so.
Alison's miniature long-haired dachshund, Daphne, an up-and-coming beauty queen, is in for a surprise today. Her future husband, Dec, has just arrived from the United Kingdom with his former owner and Alison's friend, Ruth. Alison enters her dogs in breed competitions, which are more commonly known as beauty competitions.
Dog shows are, in actual fact, showcasing your, ideally it should be showcasing your best breeding stock. I do not see the point in exhibiting an animal that is not going to be all that good for breeding. If I take, for instance, Daphne, who I'm showing at the moment, a very, very young bitch. She's obviously a bitch that I am going to be breeding from because I've bred her myself and I am showcasing this is what I am breeding and this is what I am going to breed from.
When Alison lost Nicholas, Henny, her husband, said to me, Alison needs to get back in the ring. She needs something new to show to revive her interest in the dogs after losing Nicky. So I said, I've just got the perfect boy for her. I should give her Dec. So I gave Dec to her. Well, as far as I'm concerned, she is one of the most honest and genuine people I know. And I know my dog is going to have the most wonderful life with her.
I got my first import from her, a beautiful boy called Robin. And he's been my foundation dog. And he is still alive. He's 12 years old. He's an old champion. The most wonderful, wonderful dog. Very, very beautiful when he was young, albeit a big boy, a very beautiful dog. So from there, I've bred some really lovely dogs that I am very, very proud of. And I don't think I'll stop showing anytime soon. I've done a bit of judging as well. But I must say I more prefer the actual interaction with my dogs.
Doreen Powell is the president of the Kennel Association of South Africa, which serves nearly 200 affiliated breed clubs. She has been involved with the dog show circuit for over 50 years and is well respected in the community.
I'm president of the Kennel Union of Southern Africa. The main function of Cruiser, we are South Africa's only registered society that is the sole registration of all pedigree dogs in South Africa. There are so many different dog shows, different sections, different disciplines. You've got the working disciplines of obedience, working trials. We have dancing with dogs, agility.
Sassy! Go! Go! Yes! Woo!
And then you have what we call the very serious side of breeding, and where one exhibits the dogs that you have bred.
Knowing your dog is as close to the ideal as it can be is what keeps many dog owners coming back to show off their beautiful canine specimens.
If you are exhibiting and you are breeding correctly, you are breeding as close as possible to the breed standard. Unfortunately, I do see it every now and again, dogs in the show ring that are there beauty, flash, but are not good for function. A lot of people might not agree with me, but this is my stand on things, and I feel very, very strongly about it.
From the sporting aspect, we are involved internationally. You take our agility people, they travel overseas with a team representing South Africa, and from your breeding side, naturally you want to exhibit your breeding. We've got something like 200 breeds available, so it's a wonderful sport.
I think dog showing is like gambling. You get the bug and you want to improve your next generation. I've got to the stage now whereby when I plan my next litter of puppies, I know what mating I'm going to do with the offspring before they've even been born. That's how far I'm planning ahead on my pedigree and my bloodlines.
Grooming-wise, my show dogs, I go over them every single day. I should be grooming them every single day, but I don't always have time. 3 months before a show, I will bath once a week. They have to be clean. I follow a very, very strict flea program and deworming program.
Well, I can actually do a little bit more trimming on her to start getting her ready.
Then, because they're also long-haired, they grow a lot of fur on their feet. Everybody's heard about dachshunds on their backs. The feet have to be trimmed so that they've got good grip with their pads on the ground. I have had it with one bitch, and I realize it's now, when I think back, it's her feet were not trimmed and she slipped and she injured her back. Luckily, she did not go down completely. I crated her for 3 weeks, gave her her anti-inflammatories, and she was fine. But from that day on, I make sure my dog's feet are always trimmed.
When Alison is not spending time getting her dogs ready for competitions, she spends her working days managing and helping to run the thriving restaurant and butchery business that she and her husband started on their farm.
It was just a farm with a whole lot of pigs and some chickens. It's the butchery and the deli. It is the restaurant, and it is the venue room as well.
Where are they all on lunch? Karen? Are they all on lunch?
I think Sweetwell, because of being a stud farm and a commercial farm, originally got known because of the piggery and because of the high quality pork that was produced. So, and that we have carried on with. The restaurant is definitely my passion now. I love the butchery. I really do, and I still love the butchery, but it's not my passion. I just love the interaction with people. I love the creativity that comes out of the kitchen. To me, it's just immensely stimulating, very, very tiring, but it's immensely stimulating, and I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm extremely proud of my staff as well, from the butchery to the restaurant. I have a great team. What I want to ask you, because I'm really hungry, could you please tell us what we're having for lunch?
I made you guys 3 different quiches. One is a pesto roasted veggie quiche. The other one is soy garlic marinated chicken quiche. And then we got a bacon, mushroom and tomato quiche. Then we're going to serve it with a small helping of creamy mushroom soup.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
A little bit of white wine.
Thank you, Chef. We've got 6, so that's fine. And then you can tell Chef that we can be just on ready for lunch, please. Thank you. Don't forget the wine glasses and the beer glasses.
Before the break, we saw how Alison is extending her line of breed champions by adding a new addition to the family in the form of Dick, a breeding partner for her already established champion dachshund, Daphne.
I started out, I studied architecture, went to Tech, got my diploma as a architectural technician, worked for various architectural companies around the country. But in the interim, I opened my own company. I had a construction and paving company, which I ran for close on 10 years. And I'm happily retired. I'm a kept man now. My wife is out working, so I sit at home and do the cooking and the housework. And I keep myself busy.
When not training with his dogs, Angus spends time around the house catching up on chores. As a retiree, he also has enough time to find ways to help improve the mechanical aspects of the dog competitions.
When you run a competition, you've got a timer, and somewhere along the line, our timer disappeared, and it was a case of buying a new one. And I said, can't be too difficult to build one of these things. The system that they had long cables, sort of 30, 40 meter long cables. And I was like, no, let's go wireless. I can do this. It probably took me 3 years to build it, and I built it. I blew the system I don't know how many times. Now we have a wireless timekeeping system. Most people, I think, compete in shows for the competitiveness, and they want to win, and as a personality, they're very competitive. But there's also a lot of people who literally just want to have fun with their dogs. And once they've entered a show, the bug bites, and then some of those people that were the most meek and mild are suddenly now real terriers out there, and they become very competitive. For some handlers, prestige is very important because they go to world champs. There are people that are very hard on their dogs, which could borderline on abuse because they really work their dogs very hard. But they're very few and far between, those sort of people. Most people are out there more to have fun with their dogs, but also be competitive. Look, there are a lot of pedigree dogs that do agility. The bulk of them are border collies because they've got high drive and they are high maintenance dogs. There's no hard and fast rule as to what dog can do agility. I mean, all my dogs are all rescues, and there's a lot of rescues that do agility as well. So there is a bit of a misconception that if you don't have a border collie, you can't do agility. It's not like that at all. At the moment, I've got a giant schnauzer, and I've got a Yorkie. I mean, they are streets apart, but they both compete. So it's not about a specific, it's not breed specific.
The Cape Handlers Dog Club is hosting a multidisciplinary competition, and Alison is entering both Daphne and newcomer to the family, Dick, in today's breed events.
Today, Declan is in his first show in South Africa. I'm really nervous. He's got competition today, so let's just see how he does. This is actually just now the culmination of a fabulous week, bringing Ruth to a show. Ruth is going to show Dick for me today, see how he goes, and I can just pick up some tips what this boy likes and what he doesn't like. I hope Dick gets the best of breed. And if he doesn't get the best of breed, I hope Daphne gets the best of breed because I know they deserve it. But saying that, I do come to shows with an open mind.
As Dick is still new to Alison, his former owner and Alison's friend, Ruth, is taking him through his paces for assessment by the judges.
particularly if you have a coated breed like an Afghan or a mini long dachshund. There's a lot of hair covering that basic structure. So when they put their hands on the dog, they're checking to see that the bone angles are correct. They're checking for muscle tension. They're basically checking the construction of the dog. They're checking things to make sure that the dog is according to breed standard. Your handlers need to be moving that dog around in order that you present it in the best way possible, that the movement is showcased. You stack the dog in such a way as to showcase your dog so that the judge can get an eye full of this beautiful hound, and then we'll make a decision about which one is the best in the class, and ultimately which one is the best in breed and your best in your group.
In a dog breed show, judges aren't merely comparing the dogs to each other, but rather against the parameters of the idealized version of its breed. So in the case of Daphne and Dick, they are being compared to the official standard of the ideal dachshund.
It was a lovely turnout. The dogs were exceptionally good quality. Daphne took best of breed today, and she went third in the main hound group. I met Dick for the first time today. In my opinion, he's absolutely beautiful. I'm particularly taken with his head. He's got an absolutely stunning hound head. He's very, very well put together. He's got a wonderful top line. I love his movement. I think once he settles down and gets into things and the show's here and his new home, he's going to do extremely well.
Daphne came third in the group. As I say, Dickie didn't feature much today, but he's really just basically landed in this country. I can't expect so much from him. So I'm happy. I would have preferred Daphne to do better. I felt she could have done better.
Earlier, we saw Alison's dogs in competition. Unfortunately, both Dick and Daphne did not win, but as young dogs on the circuit, their futures are still bright. Angus is also attending the Cape Handlers Dog Club competition, but his two rescue dogs will be competing in the jumping and agility categories.
Spritzer is the bigger one, Guinness is the older one, at least. Guinness is 12, but he enjoys his jumping. He's not as fast as he used to be, but he's like a social butterfly. He likes to be out and about. I have found in the past that the more time that they spend off course, the better they perform. Having said that, probably today, who knows? I might eliminate on number one, I might have a clear round. But it's not for me, it's not about winning. It's about coming out and having fun with my dogs and enjoying the morning.
Dog jumping and agility is not about breed or beauty, but rather about speed. From miniature poodles to Yorkies to rescues, any dog can enter these competitions. They are simply divided into small, medium, and large categories.
ended in tears. We had a perfect round until the last jump. And Spritzer was running so nicely, and she was running really fast. And I didn't call her in quickly enough, and she went around the last jump and eliminated. But that's what happens. It's never the dog's fault. It's us as handlers. The dogs read our movements from our shoulders, and my shoulders were in the wrong way because I didn't call her back quickly enough, and she just kept going in a straight line and ended up coming back over the jump the wrong way around.
Although he has been invited to national competitions, Angus's love for dog jumping is not in winning, but rather in the bond that the sport creates between you and your pet.
Well, Guinness is just Guinness. If I take my eyes off him, he will find an obstacle that is not in the course and he will go into it. And in this particular case, he was supposed to go around number 6 and then back through number 7. And I took my eyes off him. He saw a tunnel and said, I think I'll do the tunnel this morning. But no, I'll just go and cry in my car now. When you're doing well, everything's hunky-dory, but there are days when your dog just says, I don't want to do this today. I mean, you get onto the start line and you call the dog and the dog stands at you and just looks at you as if to say, not today. And there are other days where you get and you put the dog on the start line, you turn your back on the dog's already passed you over the first jump, and you would now run and try and catch up with it. So it's like people, you know, you have good days and you have bad days. So you see your dog's having a bad day, just go with it. You know, don't force the dog. I mean, you wake up in a bad mood and somebody says something to you, you're not going to suddenly be all smiley. You're going to be probably more grumpy, and the same applies with the dogs.
So success is very important to me, but it's not the be-all and end-all of my life. My dogs are a huge section of my life, but they are not my whole life. I have many, many other things in my life. I think only one way to describe it: bliss. Utter bliss. I have the best of everything.
I hope to make people more aware of looking after their dogs. They need to be educated with regards to training their dogs, looking after dogs. And also, you know, there are so many dogs out there that are looking for homes, and it's about encouraging people to neuter their dogs and spay their dogs so that there's not this whole puppy explosion. So it's teaching people that sort of thing, that a dog is not a commodity. It's a living thing. It's part of your life. Make it part of your life, not go through a fad where it's a Dalmatian, it's cute, my daughter wants one, so I get one, or my son wants one, so we get one. And then, as I say, a couple of months later, they go, oh, we can't cope with this. So you come to classes, the child can, from the puppy stage, build up a relationship with the dog and bond with the dog, and then the dog doesn't become a problem at home.
The historical legacy of people and their dogs goes back centuries, and there's usually a very legitimate reason as to why they are referred to as a man's best friend. Their friendly and non-judgmental personalities, their loyalty, and unconditional friendships are just some of the few things that dog lovers around the world speak of. Both Alison and Angus started out as traditional dog-loving pet owners who found further outlets to spend time and enjoy the company of their four-legged companions. And through these events and activities, both continue their lifelong love affairs with their dogs.